second of all, I did not expect to agree with him. I found myself doing so to a much larger degree than I been quite comfortable, but things are surprising all the time. So before I get on to, like, I suppose what I think is the main standpoint of what I hope to be a coherent speech, I just have three extemporaneous points from what the last speaker said. So first of all, he tells us that why can we have different conceptions of God? So I mean, at the point at which you outline some particular conception of God, I have no problem with that, and we can talk about that. At the point at which you don't outline a particular conception of God, not having a given conception of God makes it very difficult for us to discuss things in a meaningful way. So that would be the reason I have an objection. I have an objection to having I have an objection to having no fixed definition of God. Second of all, I mean, the discussion about whether someone was happy and whether someone would do things selflessly, if they were assured of God and sort of a meaningful eternity and that sort of thing. I mean, I don't really think the happiness of the person who believes in any given truth, and who believes in any given thing, is an indicator of the thing's actual truth. I mean, I think that's quite separate. So, and finally, you tell us that you tell us that I mean, really the only sort of secular morality would have sort of this social construction of morality. And then to say, well, if the majority thinks something is right, does that make it right? Well, I suppose that's quite a strong man of position any of us here who would reject God as an essential component of morality would have. Needless to say, we don't hold that. What I presume you do hold is that if God were to say something is moral, it would in fact be moral. I think that's actually crazy, at the point at which God tells me to kill my son, for instance. I don't really think that something makes it moral, whereas previously it wasn't. That seems a bit bizarre. So to get on to the main points of what I actually talk about right now, I feel that I don't want to make a case for morality being coherent as such. I simply wish to make second morality being coherent. I simply wish to make a case for why the addition of God to a given system makes morality no more additionally coherent. As it were, if morality is incoherent, it is incoherent regardless of whether we have or don't have a God. And this is just an inherent problem of morality. Because what morality intends to do essentially lies, the previously called morality lies quite effortlessly. Like as I said in the David Hume quote about the inherent void between is and ought. And ultimately I think the failure of morality probably lies in that sort of void, and I'm going to talk about that now. I don't think God really adds anything to that. For a reason I suppose I'll get into now. Yeah. So I mean we were told we're told by Circle about that sort of distinction between subjective and objective, and why ultimately, the basic fact that something exists in the world, like empathy, offers us, offers us a descriptive fact about the world, not a positive, reason to create a normative statement about it. So similarly, if objective morality were to exist, if it was out there in the world, if we could make true statements about it in the world, independent of any mind reference, the whole seems to be is a description of some feature about the world, not some normative statement about whether we like or dislike that feature, which I think morality is generally conceived as consistent. If it is some general feature about the world that there is some powerful deity who dislikes these and X, Y, and Z acts, then there seems to be a statement about the world that such constitutes no reason for believing that we should hold those things to be good or bad things. In a second, if that's all right with you. I mean, at the point we do, there doesn't seem any real problem with saying that empathy could be a similar thing. I mean, I don't see any reason to believe that just because the entity is all powerful or all factually knowing, that attributes onto them any sort of additional moral authority. Sorry, were you going to?
Yeah, I was just thinking that if you're going to have a God who's the absolute, then you can really put anything you want into him, can't you? He can be the odd, he can be the benchmark, he can be the normativity. I suppose that's... come up with, you can just stick in the concept, can't you?
I suppose that's sort of the problem I find with most sort of traditional accounts of morality, that most traditional accounts will say, well, God is a really good objective. Therefore, God can serve as a benchmark for objective morality. I think this is to ignore the essential nature of morality. So even if we could see that God is just sort of this general collection of objective things, or the ultimate objectivity, or the ultimate reality, or something like that, we're still going to be told about the objective of the world. Fundamentally, I have to think that morality must be subjective. It is not simply the case that a world that's a world without God only leads to selective reality. Morality must be subjective, because what is morality? Morality is ultimately our feelings about the world, is the reactions of given subjects to that absolute. So the absolute can't contain moral statements. The absolute can't be the source of any said moral statements. Like, that has to come from subjects. That has to come from the individual's feelings, reactions, or beliefs about that world. If indeed, like, morality consists of ought statements. So if it consists of is statements, that's fine. But then I think we have to slightly redefine what is type of morality. Like, ought statements are surely like arise from sort of beliefs about the world. And so we're told that this sort of subjective morality is impossible, because where do these moral truths subsist except as ideas? And, you know, an idea is distinct from the thing it's talking about, because like, those are two different things, an idea about something and the thing itself. And I would say, like, this clearly isn't the case, because you have truths about things, like mathematics, for instance, which subsist as ideas in our minds, and yet are still like the things themselves, because the things the idea describes are the ideas and the relations of ideas. I think that we might possibly be out of time, so I'll just keep moving on. So, I mean, clearly now, morality clearly doesn't have so much of a sort of an agreed upon definition as you know, morality. We can still say that it's not impossible for, like, intersubjective, as it were, like knowledge that is shared between subject knowledge to exist, merely because it's not objective. Like, if there were no minds, mathematics as such would not exist. Now, objects would exist which may have mathematical properties, but mathematics as such would not itself exist. You know, those mathematical truths would not be out there, not exist. So if no minds existed, there would be no moral truths. There could be no reaction to the flaws in the world. If there was no peak subjects out there, and there was something that we found bad or objectionable to the world in the state of affairs in which it subsided, there could be no moral judgment about that thing being made. So, I mean, perhaps there is a foundational basis for it. But I don't see why God, whose only distinguishing features from any other is either really, as the sort of beautiful dilemma puts it, God is either simply the object, i.e. the collective of all object things, in which case he can't offer subjective opinions about the world, or God is simply an extraordinarily powerful subject, i.e. one who has limited power and limited knowledge about the object, in which case I still see no reason for his moral pronouncements that have been a bit better informed, but they still carry no additional moral authority. The problem with morality is simply that we're looking for the sort of the same standard of objective truth we desire in other areas of life, whereas really it is not a subjective reaction to things. So for all these reasons, I beg to oppose.